Hello everybody and welcome back to more political chatter. In this video, we will be talking about how the vice presidential competition to be Donald Trump's running mate in the 2024 election is officially really down to 8 candidates. So it was announced, or not announced, but it was, leaked, I guess you could say, not as if it's a secret or anything. But Donald Trump has actually sent out vetting papers and all that vetting to get vetting information about potential vice presidential picks. So what that means, vetting is basically looking into their past and all that. So they sent these documents to these potential contenders, just for them to answer questions and make sure that they're honest and that the Democrats wouldn't be able to dig any dirt up on them and ruin Trump's chances in the election in November. So those documents have been sent, to 8 candidates, to 8 people. Those people being Senator J.D. Vance of Ohio, Governor Doug Burgum of North Dakota, Senator Marco Rubio of Florida, Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, Ben Carson, former Housing and Urban Development Secretary, I believe that is, Elise Stefanik, Congresswoman from New York, Byron Donalds, Congressman from Florida, and Tom Cotton, Senator from Arkansas. So these are the 8. I mean, we have talked so much about these updates surrounding who might Donald Trump pick for his running mate in 2024. And what's annoying about this is that the media loves to say that they found a short list, that a person from the campaign leaked a short list, and whatever. The media organization has narrowed it down to these 5 people. But none of that ends up being true, ever. It's all insignificant. It never matters at all. But this is finally significant because it is down to these 8. Vetting papers have been sent to these 8 people. It better be 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 8 people. So these are the remaining contenders. It will be one of these 8 people. So, again, these are the 8. Vance, Burgum, Rubio, Scott, Carson, Stefanik, Donalds, and Cotton. Now, we have been following this race, really, to be Donald Trump's VP for a long time. So here are some notable people who are missing from that. Tulsi Gabbard being one of them. It really appeared not too long ago that Donald Trump was seriously considering Tulsi Gabbard, and that is because she would bring a lot to the ticket as an independent. That would really be historic. She is an independent. And from his very kind words towards Tulsi Gabbard, it appeared that Trump was considering her, but she's absent from the vetting list. Vivek Ramaswamy is also absent. We kind of expected this because Trump sort of ruled him out previously. However, he was a major favorite among Trump supporters to be Trump's VP, very loyal towards him in the 2024 Republican primary. Katie Britt missing. She was never a serious contender. And then we have Nikki Haley missing, who some months ago, it looked like Trump really might actually pick her, and a lot of his team have been pushing towards Trump picking her because she would really bring a lot of strength to the ticket, really more than any other candidate, maybe besides Marco Rubio. But she is not on the list. Doesn't surprise me really all that much. I would have been shocked if she was the pick. Marjorie Taylor Greene, we pretty much expected that she would not be chosen. And then Lee Zeldin. So there was, and, this is why I think that all the previous speculation, months ago about who Trump might pick really bugs me, because Lee Zeldin was supposed to be a top contender. He is a former congressman from New York, and he was reportedly in talks with Trump about being his running mate. And although that may be true, it never surmounted to anything, and he is no longer even in consideration. He was in the news for like 2 days, and then it fizzled out after that. So he hasn't really gotten much attention since that report that some organization reported that he might pick Lee Zeldin, but that is not the case. And then maybe most significantly, just because of how confident I was before the dog scandal that she'd be picked. That being Governor Kristi Noem of South Carolina. Before the scandal, where Kristi Noem wrote in her book, described how she killed her puppy as well as her goat, and everyone, even conservatives, started hating on Kristi Noem for that. I thought that Trump would pick Kristi Noem. You know, she adds a lot to the ticket, and she would just be a very strong, safe, I thought, safe VP candidate. Now that is not true, with the dog story being released. Kristi Noem absent from the list as we expected following the dog scandal. That would be really shocking to me, 5 or so months ago. If you told me that, I really wouldn't even believe you, that she wouldn't even make it into the top 8, into the last 8 remaining candidates. So those are the surprises on who isn't in the list, but surprises of people who are on the list. One of them being Ben Carson. Now, there has been a lot of talk about Ben Carson being VP. There have actually been reports about Ben Carson being in consideration, and those reports have, unlike the case of Lee Zeldin, proven to be true. Ben Carson is on the list, and we're going to get to the strength of these candidates. But still, it shocks me that Ben Carson is irrelevant, especially for a position like this in the year 2024. I mean, he completely fizzled out of relevance when he suspended his campaign in 2016. Even when he was briefly in the Trump administration, he wasn't relevant at all. Ben Carson is such a weak candidate for any possible position in politics, literally any position possible, that I'm really shocked that the Trump campaign is even considering him, over such a strong, people who would bring such strength to the ticket, like Marco Rubio or Tim Scott or that's it, I guess, or Doug Burgum maybe. So still, it does surprise me that Ben Carson is on this list, even after there have been so many reports about it. And then we have Byron Donalds. I didn't expect Byron Donalds to really be, go this far in the race to be Trump's VP contender. He's just a congressman from Florida. He doesn't have a great record, and I just think that he is too conservative to bring strength to the ticket. And we'll go into all this when we talk about my ranking of the VP contenders. So it still does kind of surprise me that Byron Donalds is in consideration. I just don't think that he brings a lot to the ticket at all. And then the big surprise, first, not even the big surprise, is J.D. Vance, the senator from Ohio. But there have been new reports that J.D. Vance is just suddenly, out of nowhere, he was just suddenly in consideration one day. Now, J.D. Vance, a little while ago, said that he had not talked to Donald Trump or the campaign at all about being Trump's running mate. Now that is clearly not true, so things have changed. J.D. Vance quickly upping the ranks in this Veep Stakes contest. And then, now the big surprise, Tom Cotton. Now, I said J.D. Vance came out of nowhere, but Tom Cotton really came out of nowhere when it comes to being in consideration. It was reported by the New York Times one day that the Trump campaign was seriously considering Tom Cotton for a VP. He's a senator from Arkansas. I don't know why they would do this when you look at the other options, and it was really shocking to a lot of people because Tom Cotton is very unpopular among liberals. He is hated, like on a Ted Cruz, Josh Hawley level, hated by liberals and progressives. So that surprised me a lot. As for Doug Burgum, we've had a lot of reports about Doug Burgum being in consideration. Marco Rubio has also been in a while. He's a very strong candidate for this position. Tim Scott has been in talks for being a VP the longest. He would bring a whole lot to the ticket, and he's been wanting this position for quite a while now. Elise Stefanik, this goes way back. Elise Stefanik was one of the first people to be in consideration, and it for really a while, it appeared that she had fizzled out, that she had not really, been considered as much now as she was a little while ago, months ago. But that's not true, I guess. That's what my personal perception was. But that's not true. She is, I guess, in consideration because she is one of the 8. And yeah. So now let's talk about the strength of these candidates. So this is my ranking. This is how I would put them in tiers. You see that I guess we'll start with S tier. We have Marco Rubio. I think that he is the strongest, because he has really, all the things that Donald Trump wants, while all the other candidates might lack some. He is a likable person, and he has a lot of charisma, and he could hold these events, and people could get excited for him. The base would have no problem with him, of course, the Trump base. I mean, just because he has been very loyal to Trump for quite a while now, for years now, while someone like Doug Burgum or Tim Scott ran in 2024, some of the base might not like him, like them, but they'd be fine with Rubio. And then, most importantly, is that he really is going to be perceived as a moderate to a lot of these swing voters, right? In the suburbs of Philadelphia, or the suburbs of Atlanta, or the suburbs of Phoenix, Arizona, Marco Rubio could convince these voters to go to Trump. They might not like Trump after he's been convicted. These parents, these more, maybe they're conservative, but they don't like Trump. They have a bad feeling about Trump and his rhetoric and all that. I think that Marco Rubio, being a Mike Pence 2016 figure, being more competent and more, more perceived as a typical politician, I think he brings a lot of that to the ticket. And again, he will be really seen as much more of a moderate than Trump, bringing in a lot of swing voters. Now, much of that also goes for Tim Scott, with the moderate thing and all that, bringing in suburban voters. The problem with Tim Scott is that he is very disingenuous, while Marco Rubio is not at all. He seems, very genuine. Tim Scott lacks all charisma, and he just seems like a really weird guy, and I don't know if he would be as effective as Marco Rubio with bringing in swing voters, because of the way he speaks and everything like that. He is simply just not as likable as Marco Rubio. Now, Elise Stefanik, I think, same with Tim Scott, definitely lacks charisma, is very, I don't want to say boring, but, because it's not that for Elise Stefanik. Tim Scott might be boring, but Elise Stefanik, I think that a lot of people just don't like how she would speak, to opposition. If that makes sense, maybe I'm dead wrong on that. But I definitely think that she is weaker than Tim Scott or Marco Rubio. And but the thing is, she would bring in suburban voters, which helps out a lot, especially in Pennsylvania and other swing states. And then we have Doug Burgum, very safe option. He's in B for that reason, and Elise Stefanik, both very, very safe options. Now, we have J.D. Vance, Tom Cotton, really don't help the ticket at all. They're in D tier. I think that both of them weaken the ticket just a little bit because, while people in the S, A, and B tier might bring in some suburban voters, convince them to vote for Trump, J.D. Vance and Tom Cotton definitely don't do that. They are just way too conservative. And then we have F tier. Byron Donalds is just simply way too conservative. Byron Donalds on the ticket with Trump will turn away so many more moderate suburban voters, even conservatives. And then Ben Carson has about the charisma of a turtle. And I don't know what he would possibly do to help the ticket. Not moderate. It's not like he brings in suburban voters. His demeanor is like something non-living, so that doesn't really help, even though it's calm, I guess, but whatever. This is where I think things stand among the 8. So thank you all for watching this video. I really hope you all enjoyed. If you did, please consider subscribing, dropping a like, leaving a comment. Also becoming a channel member helps out a lot for exclusive perks, and you can tip on YouTube. That also helps. Again, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all next time.